Do we have a Bitcoin bear trap and reversal underway? We have some important lows rejected, but do we have the volume to follow through? This is Monday, September 9th, and today's episode of the 24 Hours of Bitcoin. Let's jump into the disclaimer. This isn't trading advice, just market observation. And in today's 10-minute report, we're going to go through the price of Bitcoin, followed by a live Q&A. We'll compare our four indicators across all the time frames from weekly down to hourly. Then we'll check out Bitcoin dominance, and we'll finish with a review of what's going on with the altcoins right now. So after that report, I'll take some requests for technical analysis on any of the coins that we have. Let's start off with looking at the weekly view of the relative strength index. We have a brand new candle here, so whatever this does is going to set the stage. As we are seeing this angle upward, all is good and we're bullish. If it starts to angle downward and cut sharp, then we are bearish, and it's really early in the week to really know how this is going to turn out. But we are watching for, since it has bounced up, we're watching for a trend line upward or a strong sharp move upward. On the other hand, if it breaks down and we have it cross, if it starts to angle downward and is pointing crossing below this throughout the week this week, we're in for bearish territory. So let's zoom in on the time frames on this one. On the daily time frame, been watching for either bullish or bearish because we're at the point of this triangle, trying to monitor, is this cross of the trend line in the daily RSI important? Is that the... And then we're watching this edge here to see where is it pointing. We've got that same quandary right at the very tip right now where we have a brand new candle, and we're going to watch what this one does. And as we're zooming in, it'll start to get more clear. Let's go to the 12-hour time frame. So we're watching for this same idea here now in the 12-hour time frame, expecting that this is going to be an uptrend that stays, or if it is broken, then we are coming down from here. And it's an important level to be watching because above this, we're going up. Below this, we're going down. Above this, we're going up. Below this, we're going down. So we're right at a decision point. And if it is turning and pulling up as we're going through time now, that is going to give me more confidence that we are going to break higher. And if we break higher, we are on something big as this is starting to take off here. Now on to the zooming into the 4 hour. Skipped one. So the 4 hour is much the same thing where we're watching for this to be turning around, checking out for any divergences that we have here because there was this divergence here from the higher highs, but we had lower highs in the RSI, which was giving me a bearish view. But now that we've had this set up, if that breaks higher out of these levels, it's very good all the way along here. If it's going higher, we're going up. If it's going below this level, we're going down. It's pretty clear how the RSI is working on this spot here. So really, if this 4 hour now breaks above this trend line and gets above this center line, that's very bullish. But it's still not really proven itself out now. It's still, it looks great as we're zooming in. Go to the 1 hour time frame. So now I'm looking for divergences across this. I'm looking for break of trend lines. And we do see this break of down trend line here on the hourly. And so if this is going to continue on its way upward, we can't have this hourly break back down below these levels. The hourly must maintain this now as we're going ahead. It's got to stay above these levels and create an uptrend line pushing up to these new overbought territories. If we're going to be coming up and breaking this and creating structure above these levels, we have to see the same structure setting up in the RSI. Now I'm going to go on to the on-balance volume. For the weekly view, it is still less positive here. So I still see this as a double top with less strength coming in. We really need to see volume. And this has been the repeating theme as I go through this week after week, day after day, is looking at this volume and especially looking at the divergence in this isn't completely definitive, but that we have less buying volume, not much buying volume. Even though we just saw this spike, we don't see the buying volume matching it. Now I go into the 12-hour time frame, the story gets a little bit different. We do have some buying volume on this corner, and it's turned out to be more buying volume as this price moved. Zoom into the 4-hour time frame, and again, it's not yet happy news. It's still contradicting. The 12-hour looks good, but the 4-hour doesn't look so good. This has got to really turn around. We've got to see this volume come up into the green and confirm above these levels. And so if we are getting structure up above these levels, that's really good, but it's still has a lot of bearish force here and support and resistance to get through all the way back through this time frame. So it's nice that it's bounced up, but it's not yet definitive. It has to make structure above this and then above that to really turn the tide for me. Where are we now? 4-hour time frame. 1-hour time frame, I'm looking at the volume changing. So we have a little bit, a bit of a change in trend where we had more dumping here, less dumping here, even though we went lower. So there's a divergence on the front end that has to be if we are going to build a structure above this. Now we have to see this volume coming in. And these are really important levels for that structure, as we just saw in the past on the left-hand side. Now, MACD indicator, my favorite, and yet this is bearish. That's across to the bearish side on the weekly. The weekly RSI was kind of bullish. So here on the daily, this is still bullish to me. It hasn't crossed to go negative yet. So we have a bearish on the weekly, bullish on the daily. On the 12-hour time frame, it was supporting bullish, but this little cross at the end here isn't so bullish. So if I switch this over, this little cross in the end is bearish. Even though we've had this bounce up in that what might be a bear trap, the 12-hour hasn't changed yet. Let's zoom in and see what the 4-hour is doing. Without looking at the price, the 4-hour is coming down in this parallel trend line, and the histogram is getting more weak. So if this crosses positive, that will certainly support a change to the positive direction. If this histogram grows longer in the next 4-hour phase and this grows further apart again, flares wide, that's more bearish. But this really has to confirm now on the 4-hour time frame. Let's zoom in and see the price on this. So even though we had that big candle, this didn't flip. Not yet. If it does, it'll be good. We've got higher crosses, but it hasn't done it yet. Let's zoom in more now onto the 1-hour time frame. This has crossed to the positive, and I do like it, actually. It's got this negative price and positive divergence in the MACD, and we've got a positive cross and another positive cross as this is happening. So this is the first stage, and if the 4-hour comes along with this, we'll have to see that stage up and get a little higher, and then the 12-hour will come along with it. But until then, we're still in precarious territory. Let's zoom in to the 15-minute just for the quick view of how this was setting up, because as this broke down below these levels, this was a 1, 2, 3 formation that gives a sell signal right here. So we have the 1, 2, 3 and a sell signal here. We have the larger one. We could call this both of these points a number 1 point. And it comes down to a number 2 point. This whole thing is the number 2 point. Then this whole thing is the number 3 point, and it broke below that, came down and retested, gave us another sell signal. And then you've got to get your stop losses below your entry so that you're protected. As prices came back up to this level, for me, this was another sell signal as it weakened off from here. And then it immediately turned around and broke this trend line, and off it went. So if you were going short here, you have to have your protective mechanisms all ready in advance so that you are prepared for it not working for you in that very first stage of the trade. And now where to put on a long out of this, that is a 1, 2, 3 formation. That would have been a signal there. But we're looking for a bigger turnaround now and some more structure to prove this out. Otherwise, we're fighting in between in this area where it's obviously very volatile and moving great ranges. The supporting volume here is important though. Every time we have this dip down, we have this good supportive volume coming in and lifting it back up, which gives me that longer term view that we are bouncing off some of those hammer reversals all the way along. Let me see if I can see it in the 12-hour time frame. It does show up a little bit, but here's the hammer reversal. Here's a hammer reversal. We just had one just now, and they're all making generally an uptrend line, higher lows all the way along here, which is saying that as the bears are really believing that this is a top formation, it should come down. Technically, all those, but the supply and demand is saying that as soon as it gets down there, people are buying like swaths of it. So that in that case, that we have to be prepared for it going way up from here and continuing on the parabolic move. Now we didn't do the Ichimoku cloud. Let's finish with this. On the weekly view, of course, it still looks bullish. It's been bullish all the way along. On the daily view, this is still a sell signal in a downtrend. It's come up and the blue is crossed above the red, but it hasn't given enough juice at all to turn it into a buy signal. So as this is breaking higher, this is going to give us more confirmation. In the 12-hour time frame, it is giving us some buy signal noise, actually, the very early stages of it. If we break up through this cloud, we've got a couple supporting indicators. If the blue line crosses below the red as this is easing off, that's a major sell signal. So it really has to stage up above this cloud again in order to turn it to a solid buy signal on the 12-hour time frame. So there's a lot of nothing to do right now. Stand by the side and wait for it to choose a direction. And anything, if you are trading in this range, has to be a super small trade. You'll be well rewarded if you're in the right direction in time. But right now, it's so much whipsaw here that super small positions are the only thing to do to start off with. In the 4-hour time frame, this is giving some sell signal indicators where the blue is crossed. The trailing indicator is crossed most of the lines here. So that's getting very close to a sell signal. And I bet if I did this video 2 hours ago, just as this was coming down, it would have been a different story. So now that it's bounced up, it's, sit and wait for it to pick one of these sides. And then even then start small, but there's lots of time to wait for it to do something. Let's clear this off and go into the 1-hour time frame, because this was a sell signal. It was a sell signal in a downtrend. We have this reversal, but it hasn't turned into a buy signal in the 1-hour time frame. Zoom into the 15-minute bar time frame, and how much of a buy signal is this? A little bit. It's got the requirements for a buy signal as it poked up above this. But you're really close to the market now. If you would listen to this as a buy signal, you're very close. You're holding it at essentially zero or a very small profit, maybe a very small loss. The most precarious place to be in a trade. In the 5-minute time frame, it did catch this 1, 2, 3. And actually we have a 1, 2, 3 here that it broke above. Then we have a larger 1, 2, 3 that it broke above. And it was breaking support and resistance strongly, and then it's poked itself up above these levels and kind of holding, which is good. This is the kind of structure that we need to see developing in order to have this to be a turnaround. It's got to build this structure now and stay here. If it goes below this, then all of this is just a bunch of noise, which is not uncommon, but very good to see that it matching up to these structures as we zoom in on it. Now, one thing I haven't done is to look over at the chat. Trator Rituto, good to have you along. Asos Man, Anis. Alt season was yesterday. I think so. Let's go on to the Bitcoin dominance, because Bitcoin dominance came off this top formation and it has dropped down. I'm watching for it to bounce and give us a different direction. Just because it's on its way down now, I'm watching for the bottom formation. I'm watching for it to break out of this parallel channel and give us some noise for a little while. So that will give the altcoins time to finish their bottom formations nicely. And then we'll have momentum going properly. If this goes too sharp without building a little bit of structure, I feel like it'll sharply bounce back up then. And I could be completely wrong, because we can see here that once this started, it just kept going and going and going and going and going, just stayed in that trend line until we had that top formation. Then we have a bunch of noise sideways. So this is why I'm watching for this top formation. And if it's breaking out of this, that's going to give us the momentum to really poke through this on the other side. And so I'm not wanting really the alts to completely blast off from here. I want them to build some more structure so that we have a stronger base underneath them for changing direction. If we get a quick blast up, likely to get a quick blast down. Hot fires burn out fast. Big things move slowly. So if we have this turning around and it makes a nice big change, we'll see that in our September Patron Bull Market Watch. We'll see that coming in, that these indicators will all change much like they are. The red drops down and then it moves to orange. Then the orange should drop down and it should move to the white, orange and white together. And then the white should be dropping down as we move to yellow, and the yellow should drop down as we're moving to green. So we should see all of those waves unfold as this bull market starts to build, and we should see it coming in these overall, the average of all of the altcoins. And then we know that the turnaround is there and it's time for the nitro button. But anything before that right now is really a kind of a nerve-wracking place to be, and your trades should be super small. Most of everything should be just sitting neutral. So if you hold Bitcoin and you trade Bitcoin, you should be mostly just holding, not be really in much of a position right now. Unless, of course, you went short here or you went long here. You know, it depends on where your entry is. But I'm always doing every episode sort of looking at it as if you were starting the market here today. What should you do here today, right now? And then we come back in tomorrow to see how did this all line up. So every day we have these goals. We can write down specifics. And I didn't remember today to be tweeting these out as I go. I don't know if that'll absolutely kill my chance of making a 10-minute show. Here's 17 minutes. And I want to get through those 4 indicators in 10 minutes, right off the start. Then I can go on different directions. Talk about alts. Yeah, I saw 1 day of gains. It is nice to have a little bit going on in the alts. And I made some great gains off of it too. TRX and ADA were my plays. And I made some nice gains off of this. This is a great percentage gain in this little move like this. But now with Bitcoin flopping around, it's time to stand aside. ADA was great gains, getting in at the 416 and adding on to it. Great gains, sold out in here at this top here. I was expecting that this is when Bitcoin was going to be turning around. And then it proved me wrong, kicked me out, made me FOMO all the way through here. And now I'm sitting back and waiting, because I do think that most of these alts are going to take a breather now. We've got a top formation here. It's a 1, 2, 3 top. It's pulling back. Bitcoin's just made a reversing 1, 2, 3 bottom. It may stabilize here a little bit before changing directions, but this is lower highs, 1, 2, 3 top formation. And it's not just in ADA. So we see here Litecoin is just about to break its uptrend formation here as well. And that'll be a 1, 2, 3 top formation confirmation. That should, if that's happening, and it's also happening in Ethereum, very same thing, building a top formation now. And if it's also happening in EOS, it's hit a top and pulled back, but not really making the 1, 2, 3. If we go into Ripple, it's already a little bit further ahead in its 1, 2, 3 shape. So if these are all breaking down as Bitcoin is showing some strength, that will show us in Bitcoin dominance. Oh, there we go. Let me go into the 15-minute view. And we'll see Bitcoin dominance jumping back up again here like this. And it is making, let me zoom in. It is making a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. 1, 2, 3. Coming up to the top of our parallel channel. And if it breaks out of this, then all the alts are going to pull back a little bit. And we'll see how that all turns out. We've sort of got it planned out now. We've got some idea of what we're going to do in each of these different situations, how one is going to affect the other, which things we're looking for in each of those indicators if the market is going one way or the other. So that should prepare us for our trading for today and tomorrow in Bitcoin. And we'll come back with tomorrow's episode of the 24 Hours of Bitcoin, unless something really dramatic is happening and this continues to really blast higher. Then I'm going to want to come in and record what's going on with like the volume, especially if we can see from the 5-minute view that the volume is translating into the 15-minute view, and we can see that peak of volume starting to be bigger in the 1-hour view. Then it's starting to build the data that we need to show that it is going to be breaking above these levels. And if that's the case, it for me, it's a nitro moment. It's preparation for nitro, because we're moving in the direction of the trend. And if we have that breakout in the direction of the trend right now, then it confirms to me that we are more potentially in a stage like this, ready to take off, especially if we see this volume start to pick up and move. Then I want to use nitro. I want to go higher leverage on these moments. So I want to feather in carefully and then add the leverage in there properly. And I talk about how to choose your leverage in the upcoming, I don't have that document open, the upcoming Ultimate BitMEX tutorial. And it all fits in using this trading system and layering in our sizing of our position sizes all inside that tutorial, not just which buttons to click to go long and short, but how to do it and why. So if you are interested in that, I guess I can direct you over to the website. Be sure to go over to intro-to-cryptos.ca. There's the link down below. Enter your email to receive a free webinar, a 1-hour webinar that gives a complete trading system from start to finish. Really makes this trading stream a lot more simple and easy to understand. And I give all that stuff away because I offer deeper services for people who are really wanting to build the habits and not just learn about trading, but you're really ready to make trading work for you. Then I have some really simple and low-cost solutions to really power you up if you're interested. If not, scroll to the bottom and get the free training. I don't want you to come back in a year from now and go, oh, if only I would have learned this stuff. Because this is the time we're going to see these bottom formations manifest and build out. We're going to look back to September of 2019 and say, this was like March of 2017. We just keep repeating it and going back over the charts and saying, this is what I should have done. This is the time to learn this trading system. Now, back to the price of Bitcoin. And it is building that structure. It is building that volume. It is picking up off these levels. Pretty cool. Now, is my stream starting and stopping for you guys? Are you having this interruption in the stream? That about wraps it up for this morning. Gone through most of it. There's no running questions, so I'm going to sign off, get ready for the altcoin stream a little later, and I'll wish you the best. Good luck in your Bitcoin trading today. Leave comments down below. Come and join us on Discord. I'm keen to hear your success stories. Cheers. Bye for now.